Hey everyone, welcome to SF Garnish Music Production. My name is Justin Anchetta, and I'm here at the SF Garnish location at Soul Graffiti Studios. Thanks for being with us. Today we're going to be talking about looping techniques inside Ableton Live 11 Suite and with some hardware as well. And I'm going to go through some of the details of that. We're in session view in Ableton, and if you don't already know about Ableton, it is one of the top digital audio workstations to date. And if you want to learn more about it, we have classes here at SF Garnish Music Production. So yeah, you can join us every Wednesday from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And we'd be happy to answer questions for you as well. We also have a summer boot camp coming up. It's 6 days straight at our online and in-person studio. If you're interested, please sign up. There's a link below in the description, and it'll give you a 25% discount to our courses. So let's get back into Ableton here and start our session today. So there's a lot of different ways to loop. And I must say that I would probably consider trying out many different options, but I'm going to give you a couple pointers on what may work better than others based on the trial and error that I've been through and based on some of our research as a collective here at Soul Graffiti Studios and SF Garnish. So the few devices that I've used in the past is the Boss looping pedals. One thing that I don't quite like about that is that it is 1/4 inch out. It's not XLR out. So I believe it does cut out some of the fidelity, the quality of the sound. I personally like XLR better than 1/4 inch, especially for vocal. And then I went on to the Voice Live TC Helicon 2 and then 3. And it's done some great things. It also connects via USB to where your tap tempo can also work for you. So yeah, just a couple things here. The tap tempo is this feature up here. And if you say link right up here, that will link to another Ableton set on a different computer as long as you're on the same wireless router, right? So if you're doing a live show, you probably want to bring your own router out and link so that your different sets can connect together. Now with the Ableton, with the TC Helicon, it is in your settings. A lot of the things I'm going to be going through is pretty much your setup to have the least amount of latency. And yeah, your ability to utilize the effects and the looping within session view and also loop with your TC Helicon or external gear. So let's get into this here. Some of the settings right here are pretty important, okay? So my settings for the Voice Live 3, it is set to sync and there's track and remote on. Okay. The other device that I have is the FCB1010. Now it's a pretty big, hefty board. There's smaller ones out there, but that also is through a USB port. And let's see if we can see it here. The MIDI Sport Uno is showing up there. The MIDI Sport Uno. And that allows me to trigger recording mode and move up and down in my scenes with my foot so that I can play an instrument and not have to worry about starting and stopping loops, and I can change scenes and have that dynamic change, right? Each scene you can consider being a different level of dynamics in your song that you're creating. We're going to get into this today in this session. And so make sure that you are really maybe taking some notes on this in session view. We aren't going to get too much into arrangement view, but there are easy ways to go back and forth between the two. If I was really to break this down, it would take me, closer to more hours than just one. So I'm going to kind of fly through this. I am starting from an empty session here so that I'm going to have to create the loops live with you, and I'll try and talk you through what's happening. I'm also set up to where all of my voice is coming through this live channel. What I like about this setup here is that I can actually say remove stop buttons And so when I switch between different scenes, this will always stay on and not stop, etc. But I am going to go into different modes here. So if I go to a different voice, right, I'm going to go Command and click. Oops. All right. That should not be happening. Let's go ahead and just quit out of that. Okay. So if I go into a different mode here, a different scene, I'm going to go Command and click. And now I'm in one that has a different effect on it, right? It has a lot more of this going on. So when you're doing a live looping set and you want to have your different effect happen right away, you can literally change to your next vocal part or your next loop that you want to do and already have all of your effects set that way. The same thing goes for instruments, right? So I have these groups here, my rhythm instruments, I'm set for guitar. Let's go ahead and just erase all these scenes here so it's all empty. And as you can see, there's some presets here with the chorus and etc. You can also do some amp modulation with your vocal or your guitar. That sounds really good. It's all within the box of Ableton. It comes with Ableton Suite, which is kind of the benefit of getting the full package. And just so you guys know, anyone that joins us for our sessions gets a 40% discount, an educational discount. So yeah, come take a class with us and you can save hundreds of dollars just right there. And also you can use the code down below to sign up. And our start time is June, coming up really soon. All right. So I'm back in here, session view, and there's a lot of different things in Ableton that are pretty small. Realizing this upper area right here, I'll zoom in so you guys can see this. This little arrow right here expands out your entire library of effects, sounds, samples, Max for Live, instruments, etc. So I'd really encourage you to know these little bits. And then also, I would probably want to turn on this feature down here if you're new to it. And I'm going to keep this on for you guys right here. Let me change where I'm at. There we go. So down here in the bottom view, let's make sure you guys can see this entirely. There we go. So right down here, we have the ability to, look over the different aspects of what you're looking at. Okay, so you can keep that on. All right. So this will be changing down here, whatever I come over. Let's go ahead and get into the different things that I have in here. I have different samples that I've already done, but we're going to go in and create new samples from our loops that we're creating live within Ableton. So I'm going to go to a track right here that has, I'll open this up a little bit more so it kind of sounds similar. And this is my vocal track that I have going on. Let's make sure that you guys can see all of this. I like, probably this view will be the best for today. Now, up here in my vocals, anything that's in record mode is going to have a circle, and that means that it is ready to record. There's a couple settings that I'm going to get into here. You can go Command, comma to get right into your settings, and you're going to really want to go through and check out this right here. Let's zoom in here and really get into the details of this. So in this area, exclusive arm, the reason why I don't want that on is that I play guitar and I loop my voice and guitar same time, right? Or I might do some pad and voice at the same time. So I don't want exclusive arm. When you have exclusive arm on, it will disarm every other record track. So I took that off. Start playback with record. I took that off. Now, these are things that probably in Clifix Pro, I might want to actually engage on and off based on what I'm doing. Clifix is a programming that you can put into Session View to do extra programming. So select next scene on launch. I took that off because I don't actually want to move down a scene after looping. I just want to move across sometimes to a new instrument. And I'll get more into that. So select on launch and start recording on scene launch. The reason why I want this on is because when I have my FCB1010 engaged, I want to start recording when it's engaged here. So also, when I press play on my push 2, so the devices, let me just go through this. The devices are the push 2, the Akai MPK Mini, and the FCB1010, right? Foot pedal. And I also have the Voice Live 3, but I'm not going to get into that today. This is kind of a second part of live looping. And so if you want to hear the first part, you can go back to a different West Coast Wednesdays, 11 to 12. Every Wednesday so far in 2021 here at SF Garnish. All right, so I'm going to press play. And that is another thing that I want to show to you is that I do have some samples down here of backing tracks that I will get into at the end. And whatever you press play on, it will start from that scene. I can press stop all right here. I also have some stop all with my feet. I'm mostly going to use my mouse today so you can kind of see what's going on though. All right, so I'll be up here in the first scene, and when I press it, nothing happens because it's empty. But there is a click track that's in my ear, and it's not going to you guys. And that is because you guys are acting as the audience. This is in your cue out mode right here. So let's be really clear that if you want to do a demonstration or hear all of your samples to the crowd, you can change that, right? And that goes out to the same cue out, 1, 2, master out. I'm going to bring this back to where it was, which was in my headphone only. Okay, but you know that I do have a click track going on, and this allows me to play in tempo and loop. It's really important because it allows you to be quantized. We're going to get into different groove quantizations to where you can really get things going the way you want. For anyone that is out there that is on our Facebook or our Twitch account or our YouTube, please send your comments in and we will be monitoring that as best we can. So, all right, so my click is on. I'm going to start with just a basic beatbox over here. Now you can do this by just clicking this, but also if you have your push, the push 2 has a great grid right in front of you, so it's pretty hands-off. You don't have to use your mouse so much. I'll use my mouse since you guys are watching this today. All right, so you can kind of see in this loop right here how close it is to the click based on the grid markers. Now, if you want to get this any closer, you can press Quantize on your push 2, and it quantizes it to whatever setting. I have it 100% to the 16th note, and it did a pretty good job. If you don't know your count in a song, I highly encourage you to really get to know 16th notes, 32nd notes, the triplet note, and the feel that you're going for. Beyond that, you also have your groove pool. And what I like to do down here, let's see if I can zoom this to where you guys can see it more. And maybe change my position again. All right. So the groove pool right here drops down this menu, and I'm going to go to Quantize. This is a setting that I preset. And when I listen to it now, I can also apply that. And it will move it off the grid to that feel that I'm going for just a little bit. So this is how you get a little bit more humanism in your loops after 100% quantization. Now what you can also do is clip it. So it's a smaller loop. And this is also where you can start doing your EQ. And like I said before, this is a preset that could always happen for your beatboxing channel, right? You know the sound that you want with whatever microphone you're using. I'm currently using an SMB7, which is pretty popular for live streaming with and radio shows. So let's go into utilizing that with a different instrument, okay? So we have a gourd here, and what we want to do is engage the new channel. I'm going to keep this on so you guys can hear me. One of the reasons why I'm using Ableton vocals only is that I want to be able to show you guys effects and how I'm sending A, B, C, D listed right here. This is all listed, and it's pretty small, but this is huge. I did a preset of A, B, C, D are different reverbs, and then D, E, F are delays. Okay, so I can apply that to any channel, and it's nice for your CPU usage to have it on a return channel instead of having to have it on individual channels if it's an effect that you use for a lot of different instruments. So let's go ahead and get into the gourd. All right. All right. And quantizing 100%. The reason why I want to quantize to 100% is it just makes it tight, and then I can put my groove over that to kind of loosen it up a little bit. I'm also going to be using the repeat feature to put my hi-hat in. You can really study your hi-hat right away. To be able to play this would be a lot harder by hand. So the push 2 is coming in handy right here. And now you can just literally press double loop, and that makes it twice as long. This is a feature on the Push 2 that makes it pretty awesome, right? Pretty awesome to just instantly double loop or duplicate down if I press the duplicate feature. Let's get into the view so you can kind of see more of what I'm doing again. Yeah. There we go. So when I press the duplicate feature, right up here, the scene that I've created right here on the very top, the master says 1 here. I can press duplicate, and it duplicates whatever's playing. Super helpful in doing looping and Ableton looping, for example. All right. So we're going to get into just pretty much getting this and instrument that we put onto a gourd that we created and instantly put it over to another drum and see how much bigger that gets. All right, so that's more of bongo. Let's do the Kingsway. So this is pretty busy. I'm going to go ahead and take out some of these hits. Now this is where I want to get into adding some of the bass. And what's great about the push, as you can see over here, is that you have the ability to see where your push to is located, right? Based on the yellow, right? So, and I'm over here on the bass, I can engage the bass to record, and my external in 30, this is where my bass is plugged in. So this is already a preset that you should have with your audio interface, right? I have an X32 rack that I'm using, so I have a lot of different options for my inputs. And I often start with the beat because I want to be able to, just have that big beat there. Sometimes for a live show, it's nice to start with a different instrument with a click in your ear and then bring in the beat as an effect. And we can actually do that toward the end of the show today. Just kind of show that out. So let's go into bring in some bass, ukulele bass in now. All right, so this is a part that I'm going to use my foot because my hands need to be playing the bass. This is programmed on the FCB1010 MIDI. Now, if you think that you didn't stop it right in the right time, you can always cut it right up and bring it right in there. Notice how you can kind of see that it's exactly on the tempo. You can always quantize it one more time, get it a little more tight. You can also set it to quantize in record mode in. I personally like to hear the feel of it live and then see if I want to engage with the quantization after that. And then, like I said before, you can then move it to the feel of the song that you can in your groove pool. To see your groove pool, you can just click this little area right here. This is your groove pool, and it opens up this bottom area where you can drop different MIDI clips and grooves in right here and then change your quantization, your timing. Let me zoom in so you guys can see that. So you can change your quantization, your timing, your random, and velocity. I do have a triplet pattern here of 8th note and 16th note. And then this 16th note right here, this is kind of one that I personally like the feel of. So I can put that into my songs knowing that that is the feel that I like. It's kind of a little swung, but not too much. Okay, so here we are. We got a groove going on, and we just want to bring this to a different part, a different feel. And it might just be that you just break it down. So you can just highlight certain areas and then press Command D and duplicate that down. All right, so breakdown right there. Put a little guitar over the top. And I'm just going through this really slow right now, but then I'll get into more of the full. Now, you're not going to hear the guitar until it engages. And this is something that this is just a setting that I personally have going on myself. Here's some guitar. I can duplicate this. Now notice, you can also have your groups get smaller so you can kind of see everything in this one view. And also break down your vocals to where it's smaller. And then this is where you can actually bring in this extra beat, the Kingsway kit, just by pressing play here or clicking on your push grid. Now that those are all playing, you guys can actually press duplicate and notice how it brings all of those into a scene now. Okay. So into an in-session view, right? It creates its own scene right here. You can also name this as whatever you want to kind of be able to get that back sooner. I'll just start off with simple names. Now remember, if anything is in record mode, it will start recording. So this is something that it's nice to actually have the feature of command, right? And then being able to just stay on one record mode, right? Command click takes off all the other records right away. Okay. All right. So we have this clean track right here that I'm talking through, and I just want to keep 0 record modes going on here, which is what I just deleted there. And let's go ahead and get into something else. Going through each scene now, triggering with the push 2. Okay, so now I'm going to show a brief little bit here on effects. Effects all is Ascend. I pretty much took this entire area and put everything into a group called all, and everything that is a group is capitalized. So I know that it is a group and there's things inside of it. So from here, I'm sending to effects all. What happens is this allows me to have specific controls, right, of all of the different send returns going on here. So I can instantly put on a delay that goes on to my voice, but it also would go on to the entire mix, right, if I want to do that. Auto filters are also a great thing to have. So let's go into our effects all, and I'm just going to walk through programming this into the Akai MPK. All right, so I'm going to go up here so you guys can kind of see this bottom area that I'm working with. And what I want to do is program this to be able to affect everything, okay? So I'm going to go Command M. When you get into this blue mode here, this allows you to program any MIDI device that is connected properly, and you want to make sure in the settings, right, that you have your MIDI device showing up in the in and out port in the right ways and remote control going on. And then you just click on the beat masher and then turn the knob. And same thing again, fade to gray and turn the new knob, right? So let's just do those two for now. And then Command M gets out of that. And right away, these will start working. Now, notice how in the fade to gray, you can see it have the filtering up and through. And what I want to do is be able to manually do that myself for the entire track. Okay? So When I want to do that, let's go into, let's say, our master here and just put 2 auto filters on. And these 2 auto filters are going to allow me to do the same fade out effect that I want to do. Now, remember, what I'm doing here, let's go ahead and get a different view on so you guys can see this clearly again. All right. So in the bottom right-hand corner, I have my auto filter high pass and then a low pass filter. Now notice right away, you can even hear in my voice that goes away, right, as I move that up. If you guys want to see more of what's going on, you can also do a side chain. I'm not going to worry about side chaining right now, but I do want to put this filter sweep, this frequency sweep, on a MIDI device so that I can do this for my live looping. I'm going to go Command M and click. This is one of the filters. And then the other filter, now this is going to the Akai MPK Mini. And I actually label them by hand just because once I know that which effects I like, it's something that I'm going to take to my live show. And I just want to actually, one thing that's nice about the Push 2 is it has that digital display and it labels it for you. And it's pretty much like having Ableton at your fingertips, not having to use the mouse as much, which is great. Adding different audio devices and adding tracks, etc. All right, so let's just test it out and notice how that is changing the frequency of my voice. And if I play the entire track, the same thing should happen. All right, so these are effects that a DJ will have at his fingertips, the low pass and high pass filter ability. All right, and you can also put that onto one knob similar to a DJ as well, using Max for Live and grouping these together. But we're not going to go too deep into that today. We're just going to kind of browse over a few different things. I also have operator here, and what I have going on is this sweep. I'm going to press stop all right here and just show you the sweep. All right, and you can kind of see as well. Let's go ahead and show that specific sweep. As you can see right here, there's a little red dot showing that there is automation. And it goes from about 366 hertz all the way up to about 6.5 hertz, kilohertz. And this is white noise. It's just operator with white noise. And how you change that is right here, right? So normally it's a sine wave or a saw, and then you have a sound effect, but this is actually just purposely creating white noise and then being able to have your automation happening. You can also put your effects on it. And so this is a way that you can do a transition, right? So I have the click going in my ear. As you can see that there's the play button is going up here. And it allows us to get into what I was talking about before, where you have some tracks already, let's say, that we just created, and you want to start really acoustic. And eventually get into something that is more, created big per se. So what I want to do here is I'm going to start from a fresh track. And what I mean by fresh is there's nothing's going to play, right? And I'll just say, I'll name this guitar start. GTR is how I say guitar in short form. So I'm going to know that I can start my song simply. Here we go. Now the cool feature about the push is the ability to have that quick quantize. Notice how it tightens that up. Now I can move this up to where my beatbox is. And then start that top scene. Getting out of record mode but using the push 2 on that channel. So use of fade to gray right there to just kind of show some of the effects. Now this scene can now be duplicated easily. Command D is how you do it by hand, right? Just by clicking on the master channel and going Command D. Or you can also press duplicate on the push too. Clifix Pro is a way that you can have it in your in a channel right over here, and you can program your MIDI device to actually do specific duplications of certain things. I highly recommend that. So the reason why I wanted to duplicate a few is I wanted to take the Kingsway kit and add that in and maybe get the bass to come in at the same time. And this transition up, I want to use that as my transition. So let's just try this out. So we now have this first part. Now the third one down has the bass, which is what I want to program in. Now noticing where my push 2 is pretty important, right? Because now the top, that third one down is now the top of my push 2. You can see that with the grid. Notice right away, when I recorded my voice in, it had a little bit more high end in it, and then I moved it to a channel that had less. So there's a lot of different presets you can do here. There's a lot of different presets you can do here just to get that variation just by moving a track to a new channel. Now, in Ableton 11, there are ways to save different presets of your effects and have recalls happening. So that's another way to do that, is instead of having to move them manually like this. So we have this channel, and we are going to just kind of play around with looping now for a little while. And if you have any questions, please email sf@garnishmusicproduction.com, and I would be happy to answer your questions. I do realize that I haven't gone over too much of the looper within Ableton. And one of the reasons why is that I feel that, let's go into that really quick, delay and loops. And here are the loops up here. And you can click on 16-bar phrase, 1-bar phrase, or just click on this top area and put that into a channel. And you can use that as your loop. As you can see, it goes into my effects chain at the very end here. Let me just go ahead and do this really quick just to demonstrate it and why I personally don't use it too much. Hey, hey, hey. Boom, chicka, cha, cha, cha. Mic check, cha, 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 cha. Mic check, cha. Mic check. Mic check. Mic check. Mic check. All right, so all of your settings of looping is right inside the looper. And you can also set your devices, your external devices, your Akai, your MIDI devices, right? Just by going Command M and then clicking these and having them be your start recording, play feature, what comes after that, right? Which is then the plus is loop something more on that, and then play and stop. There's also undo and clear. Now, the reason why I don't use this is because I like the feature of things stopping and starting utilizing session view, right? So all of these different stop buttons is really helpful with your loops. Otherwise, you have to actually program your stop feature. And once you get into a lot of different looping devices, your stop all feature down here with all of your scenes, it's kind of set up to do that for you. I kind of glossed over a few things in the setup that I really think are important. So let's go back into our parameters of preferences. Zooming in. And what we have here is, so I did some of the preferences in the Record Warp launch, but also in your audio. Now, notice my buffer size came down to 128 samples. Now, if I was actually recording something, I would want to be up at like 512, maybe 10, even 1024 if I have a good solid computer, which I have 32 RAM here going on, so pretty good Mac. But the reason why I go down to 128 samples is it allows the latency to be less, okay? And if you don't downsample the buffer size here, you're going to have a delay in your voice that might be too much to even like play live with, I would say. You're really the only person that hears it unless somebody can hear your voice. But it's something that you might have to kind of get used to. Even at 128 samples, when I talk, there is a little bit of a chorus effect going on. But as you can see with this live stream, it's so close in time that I would say it's maybe 8 milliseconds, maybe between 8 and 15 milliseconds. So it's really not noticeable for a live show, especially because if you have live speakers coming out, but no one's going to hear my live voice. They're going to hear the effects of Ableton and the voice coming through Ableton as your main voice, which is what you guys are doing here, so that I can then throw my delay on, right? Or I can put that long reverb on, which is panned to one side. Actually, let's go ahead and give you guys, I'm going to change my settings here so you guys can actually hear this in stereo, because some of these effects are pretty awesome with the panning. So I now have it in stereo so you guys can see 1, 2, check 1, 2, that I can now pan. Notice it's staying on one side, and also the delay throw bounces back and forth. So at a live show, a lot of the presets within Ableton allows you to have these stereo effects at your show really easily and quick, which is why DJs are really just taking over in regard to performance and just putting a good vibe through a large sound system. If you have a large sound system, you want the really well thought out frequencies. And when people are sitting at a production in a studio for hours and hours creating that, it's going to be at a higher fidelity, hopefully, than somebody doing a live line check and sound check and for a band, unless you come with presets, right? And this is something that you can do with your audio interfaces, right? Your X32, your XR18, which is both ones that we use. You can also do within Ableton, right? Which I was talking about your presets being for your voice, right? I have certain frequencies here that I purposely have dropped for my specific voice with this specific microphone. So once you know what you like, save it as your own rack and then go from there. All right. So, yeah, make sure 128 sample rate definitely helps out with the looping and less latency. And we're going to get into just going out with some loops here in the last 10 minutes. And please comment, and I will get back to any questions as soon as I can. Thanks for being with SF Garnish Music Production, and thank you to the Garnish Music Network for hosting us worldwide at our 8 locations currently. And check us out every Wednesday from 11 to 12. And this is live looping that we're talking about at SF Garnish. We do online and in-studio workshops, group workshops, averaging about 4 to 5 students per workshop. So it's really good numbers. And we can get you going with your looping live setup and your production at home. We even talk about mixing and mastering and like how to get your monitor set up in your room, etc. So pretty in-depth, 430 plus hours if you want to go through the whole academy. All right, starting off simple here. Here we go. I say love like this I see. We could believe it was here before. I know you and me. We could always be where we need to go where you are. 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 Go. Take a sample, directly put it into a sampler, and start playing. And even using your pitch. Now, what I really love is being able to bring that into a sampling, right? So, just want to talk you through what I'm going to do here, just so you guys can see it or hear it really clearly. Is that 2 vocals all. I actually want to bring this to my sampler track, sampler 1 or sampler 2. All right. So we have our, how about this? Audio 24. So now audio 24 is this channel right here. And what it's doing is it actually is monitoring, should be in auto. And we want to put this in record mode. And the input, right? Instead of being external input, we're going to bring this from our vocal JA sampler. Actually, let's go vocal simpler. All right, let's try that out. Okay, so when we play the simpler here, okay, now this is something that I don't want in record mode here, so I'm going to take remove remove this buttons off. So it's not going to record onto this channel, but it will record onto the Audio 24 channel. And the reason why I want to do that is that all of my different playing now is going to record onto an audio track. And I'm going to call that sample because I'm now going to live sample it. These are things at a live show. This is something that could be set up already. Okay. Now I have my button down below on my FCB1010 set to play. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. So what happened is that actually jumped down to wherever I was. So this is something that you want to really make sure that you set up as well. Now notice right here, you have that in a sample. I'm taking it off of loop. All right. Getting out of record mode, these extra channels. Really making sure it all works out as a plan. Knowing that you need nothing more understanding. Hold it on before I go on. This is all believing. The sound is over my head. Now you can also do mixing right within your device. If anything is too loud, right, such as a guitar, for example, you can instantly take that down. Now this is something that you want to be able to just maybe turn down that one guitar. So I'm going to go in and just turn down the gain, because I want that to be loud and the other tracks of that same instrument to be louder. Go 1, 2, 1, 2. All of your DJ effects are programmed in so that you can use them with your Akai, with your different USB external devices, putting your effects on when and where you want them. Now this right here could be pitch shifted down. Let's do a whole octave. Now, if you want a little bit more effects of guitar amps, you can go into your amp modulation. Type in amp here, audio effects, drive and color, amps. So what you guys have there is groups are really helpful in your organization because let's say I wanted to stop all of a specific instrument, right, of loops. All of my guitars, for example, I have my rhythm all right here. And that comes into play right away, right, of stop features and play features of that specific area. Now we also have that with other things as well. I would say probably all your drums and all your voice should be in its own group. So I have my rhythm, I have some extra sample tracks, vocals all. Let's go ahead and just put all of our, I think bass and drums all in one category for now. Here we go. So I'm going to group that together. And this is how I would label it, right? Is I would rename this as drums, bass, all. Notice how it's all capitalized. And you can make it any color you want by right-clicking on it. All right. So there you have it. A little bit more organization as we move forward. Now, making sure that you save this as your most recent session is really important. Now, in Ableton Live 11, it says save live set as a template or even your default set. So this template can be saved as, so Justin Looping 03, right? As it progresses along. Now, that is a template that has all of these extra loops already inside of it. If I don't want these loops in here, I can delete them, right? And then do just that. Now, let's go in here and make sure everything's off. Remove that. Okay, so here we are with the clean set. And then I would just go ahead and save that again as set as default set. So when I come in, this now will open up as a default set. I'll save this as 04, right? So you want to get your most recent templates saved over here so you can jump back into them easily. Like I said, if you have any questions, please email sf@garnishmusicproduction.com. And we do have sessions coming up. Our summer boot camp is starting June 13th in Ableton and Logic. And we also have mixing and mastering and sound design. So please check that out when you can. I'm working with Ableton Live, which is my DAW of preference myself, but also Logic and Pro Tools are also great tools of the trade. And thanks for being with us here on West Coast Wednesdays from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time every Wednesday of 2021. We're getting pretty far into it, guys. So if you haven't watched all of the sessions, we have a playlist on our YouTube channel. So please click, like, and subscribe and support us by sharing. Come out to our Beer and Beats Tuesdays 6 to 9. It's online and in person at our studio in North Oakland. The Beer and Beats also just before that at 5 is we have a walkthrough of our studio. And you can kind of see it in this flyer behind me. This is Soul Graffiti Studios. Studio B behind me is a huge room with drums and everything set up, and we do a lot of our group workshops in this room. We do have laptops available with the digital audio workstations on it already. If you would like to have them for class and you're not sure if you want to purchase them yet, you can rent a laptop for super cheap from us for the time of the course and then choose to purchase it later. We also have a 40% discount, education discount for our people in our courses via Ableton. So check that out. You can save $300 off using the shortcut code below that I put in the description. And you can save another $250 off the 40% off Ableton. So over $500 of savings right there by doing those two things, getting 36 hours of Ableton 101, 201, or whichever DAW you want to get into. Today we were going through live looping. If you are just tuning in, you can replay this on our different channels and social media. This is going to our Twitch, our YouTube, and our Facebook pages. And we do take questions as well. So email, comment, and we will get back to you as soon as we can. Email sf@garnishmusicproduction.com, and I will personally get back to you. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll talk to you really soon.